So I got the bike engine warmed up. Time to give it the oil change. People like to change their oil about every 1,500 miles. Personally, I take the view that we use modern oils now, so they don't degrade as quickly as oils that were about when these bikes were new. But that's a whole minefield. Everybody has their theory on what oil they want to use. We actually just buy a big barrel of straight 40 and everything gets the same oil. So yeah, so what happens with this type of bike is very common with the BSAs and Nortons and Triumphs of this age, that you've got a separate oil tank here. So we want to change the oil, so we need to get the oil out of the oil tank, get any oil out of the engine using the sump plate on the bottom of the engine, and then we can stick the new oil in. So I'm going to get the oil out of the oil tank. Vic's going to get the oil out of the sump.
Well, hey,
let's get
started.
started.
Get the dirty bit then.
My bit's dirty too.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. So first I'm going to get the drain plug out of the oil tank. This drain plug has actually got the wire gauze filter on it, so it's quite tight. There we go, that's loose. So I'm not going to take it off yet because we want to catch that oil. Don't want it going all over the place. I'm going to use this as a funnel, as a little makeshift funnel, because I won't get the funnel to fit in there. It should come out with the oil filter. There's quite a long thread on it because obviously you don't want this coming out. I'm going to move that along a little bit. Better safe than sorry. There we go. Should have gloves on really. Oh, I've just dropped the washer. There we go. So this is my patent method of changing oil. If Rick wants to put the bike upright, look at that. Actually, it's not that bad. I know it's black, but it always looks black as soon as you ride it. Oh, yeah. Take the oil cap off.
Let it come over onto the footrest.
Yeah. Go on then.
Just keep coming down.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're just going to slacken these off. Oops, let's undo it instead of doing the duck. Get that ready. There's always a residue of oil left in the sump, and there's also a gauze filter in here to catch the big lumps that there shouldn't be. And so you just wash that out with a bit of petrol. This bike's also been fitted with an aftermarket spin-on modern type oil filter. That was changed last oil change, so we generally change them every 3 or 4 oil changes. So that's all right. You just give this a wash out and stick it back on again.
The other reason for draining the oil out of the sump is if you've got a problem, if you see there's any bits of metal in there, then you might think, oh, what's going on here? So it's always good to have a little check. Let's have a look.
I'm going to rinse that out as well.
Absolutely.
You want me to do that?
Go on then, there's no point both of us getting
petrol-y hands.
Yeah. That looks alright, doesn't it?
Don't do this at home. Always wear protective clothing. Always good to have a stock of old t-shirts about. This one's a Burt Munro special. Burt would have been proud of that, you know.
Oh, that was bought from Burt Munro's grandson.
It was in the Isle of Man.
Years back. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was over from New Zealand. Sad.
There we go. But we're going to have to put a new gasket on here.
Oh no, have we got one?
No, but I can make one. Or we could slap some silicone around it and put it back in there. Or even a bit of well seal. The inner edge is still good, so we can get away with it.
Yeah, a bit of well seal.
Bit of well seal.
Yeah.
Better ask the management about that, really, because you know, don't want to do a shoddy job on her.
Ah, look what I've won. A big washer. I should have been more careful when I took it out. There we go. Right, so this is actually a copper washer, and I've cleaned it up a bit, so that stops this unwinding. Obviously there's quite a lot of vibration with a bike like this, so let's stick that back in. So that copper washer, obviously copper is a relatively soft metal, so when you tighten up the nut, that will press down on the copper washer, so that will mean that you can get it a bit tighter than you would otherwise do. But you don't want to over tighten it and strip the thread. That'll do. Just a quarter of a turn past tight should do it.
Should do, yep. I eventually found the well seal. I put it away where it didn't belong. Paint a bit of that on there. Is that the right way around? Oh, look at that. I really like this non-sealing gasket because it's bits don't fall off it like silicone, which can, if it gets in the oil system, causes a lot of problems, or can cause a lot of problems. But non-sealing, non-hardening gasket, like well sealers. It's really messy, gets everywhere, never stays in the tube, but it's good. And it's back underneath and pop it back on again. That little pipe there, can you see that? That is the oil scavenge, and there's a little ball in the bottom of there, which is a non-return valve, little ball bearing, and if that gets stuck, the oil can't return back to the oil tank and you've got a problem. So when you take the gauze off, you always check that it goes up and down, and that one does, so we're laughing. And get this on the right way round so that the pipe goes in the hole in the gauze, and like so, wash. There we go. Job's a good one.
This is the interesting thing about oil. It provokes countless discussions on fora all over the internet. So it says Shell, Esolube, Castrol, Mobil Oil, Energon, all the manufacturers, see instruction manual. And so when you look at the instruction manual, it's actually relating to products that no longer exist and are out of spec anyway. So there you go. There you go. Blub, 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 blub. Lovely yellow oil. I don't want to put too much in, obviously, otherwise that's going to give me a problem. Might be about right. Let's have a little look. I suppose I could measure it out into a jug, but that would probably just waste the oil in the jug, really. Let's give that a go. 5 1/4 pints is how much it should be in there. So I could have got a measuring jug out, measured out 5 1/4 pints and poured it in, but actually it saves oil, really, just doing it by eye. There should be a little BSA transfer which says minimum oil level here, but they always seem to put them on a bit too high up anyway. After that incident on the M25 the other year, when the bike had wet sumped, so as Rick was saying about the non-return valve, the sump had filled up with oil, and then Rick very helpfully came along, and before I started it, topped it up with oil. I was going up to London, and I stopped at the services at jolly old Clackett Lane, and when I came out, there was a massive great oil puddle under my bike, and I thought, oh my word, that's lucky, because if it had happened on the motorway, it would have been quite slippy. So I then had to spend about half an hour trying to desperately clear up the garage forecourt using all their kind of spill kit, etc. Anyway, right, I reckon that's got to be enough. Oh, let's get it even. You've got to get it up
that
right.
looks about right, but it's a bit high. But when it's gone, you haven't got it round the engine yet.
No, you haven't. So what I'm going to do is start it up, and then you can see the oil pump in action, which is what I really like about these old bikes. You can see everything. It's just easy. Everything's on view.
You're going to pass that oil over there before you step in it.
Whatever. I'm going to do this one up before I knock it over with my wrong hand.
Not that this has ever happened before.
Yeah. So that will get drained off into my waste oil tank and take it down the tip at some stage.
Pop up that.
So you can see that's the oil return pipe there in the back.
Oh, there's loads.
Job done. Right, go and wash my hands now.